The moment that stunned viewers came when Amanda and Clive Owen clashed with their son Reuben on live television, exposing years of hidden family tension in front of millions. What was meant to be a warm and nostalgic return to the Owen family's Yorkshire farm quickly turned into chaos when Reuben broke down in an emotional outburst that no one expected. The family, once celebrated as Britain's most beloved farming household, suddenly appeared fractured, and the fallout was impossible to ignore. The show's opening episode was supposed to highlight a fresh start, but instead, it revealed a deep sense of strain between Amanda and her eldest son. Their big project was the renovation of an old farmhouse, a symbolic new chapter after Amanda and Clive's separation. Reuben, experienced with heavy machinery and farm operations, was leading the groundwork. Bad weather and tight deadlines made the job tough, and the presence of cameras only added to the pressure. On that particular day, things became worse when a machine got stuck, slowing down the work. Amanda arrived unannounced, already tense after hearing that progress was behind schedule and that some decisions had been made without her approval. When she confronted Reuben in front of the crew, the argument escalated quickly. Her criticism soon went beyond the day's work and cut into his character, questioning his commitment and leadership. Then came the words that shocked everyone, a sharp ultimatum suggesting that his place in the project, and even in the family's work, was not guaranteed. Onlookers described the moment as chilling, with Amanda's tone leaving no room for negotiation. Cameras caught the hurt on Reuben's face, a rare glimpse of how heavy expectations had weighed on him for years. Without saying a word, he walked off the site, leaving the atmosphere raw and tense. Filming had to be paused for more than an hour while producers scrambled to decide what to do next. Behind the scenes, crew members noted that Amanda seemed more irritated than regretful, which only added to the discomfort. Many whispered that this wasn't just about a delayed project, but about a deeper power struggle within the family. For Reuben, leaving the site was not just about the argument. It was an act of defiance against the unspoken pressure he had felt for so long. Insiders revealed that he had often voiced doubts about the impact of fame and television on the family, but those concerns had never been so publicly visible until now. Viewers reacted almost instantly. Social media was filled with shock, anger, and debate. Some excused Amanda's behavior as a product of stress, but most sided with Reuben, pointing out that what happened on screen looked less like tough parenting and more like emotional coercion. Amanda, once admired as the strong Yorkshire shepherdess who held her family together, was suddenly seen in a harsher light. The incident cracked the carefully maintained image of unity and resilience that had made the Owens famous. In the days that followed, the fallout only grew. Reuben reportedly walked off set and stayed away from filming for the rest of the week, avoiding both Amanda and production staff. He spent time at his father's home instead, described by those close to him as quiet but determined to distance himself from the situation. Family acquaintances said he felt humiliated, not just as a son, but as someone whose hard work had been dismissed in front of millions. The situation reached another turning point when Reuben appeared on Love Your Weekend with Alan Titchmarsh. The interview was promoted as a cheerful conversation about rural life, but it quickly touched on the recent confrontation. Reuben stayed calm, but his words carried weight. He admitted the argument with his mother was not staged, confirming that he felt unsupported and unheard during the incident. For the first time, he openly spoke about the pressures of filming, explaining that while he loved farming, being constantly recorded distorted his reality and left him feeling suffocated. His honesty struck a chord. It became clear that the issue was not just one heated moment, but years of pressure, expectation, and the struggle of growing up under the spotlight. What viewers once saw as an inspiring family story now appeared far more complicated, raising difficult questions about the hidden cost of fame. The cameras had always been part of the Owen family's life, but for Reuben, their constant presence became a heavy burden. Every conflict, every emotion, every quiet moment risked being magnified and turned into a storyline for the public. After his candid interview on Love Your Weekend, everything began to shift. The public, who once saw Amanda as the heart of the family, now turned their attention to Reuben. Support for him grew quickly. Discussions online and in newspapers stopped focusing on Amanda's brand and instead centered on the emotional cost for the children who had grown up on screen. The phrase emotional exploitation began appearing in opinion pieces, with critics accusing Channel 5 and the production team of using family struggles as entertainment without considering the impact on the people living them. Amanda stayed mostly silent in the weeks that followed. She continued to promote the show, posting photos and clips with her younger children, but Reuben's absence was impossible to ignore. His missing presence in both the series and on her social media made the family's division painfully clear. The perfect image she had spent years building was beginning to crack, and sympathy was slowly slipping away from her side. Behind the scenes, Channel 5 executives reportedly called emergency meetings to figure out how to handle the controversy. Some even considered re-editing upcoming episodes to soften Amanda's image, but for many viewers, the damage was already done. Reuben had spoken with honesty and restraint, and his words carried enough weight to permanently change the conversation. Industry insiders began to notice that Reuben's television appearance did more than repair his image. It made him an unexpected voice in a wider debate about family-based reality shows. His story sparked calls for stricter rules, including better protections for children and young adults caught up in programs that put their private lives on display. While Amanda tried to maintain control, Reuben quietly stepped back from the spotlight, focusing on his mechanical work, spending time outdoors, and building a more private life. For the first time, his voice had cut through the noise of fame and family duty, shifting the spotlight from Amanda's carefully crafted image to his own independent identity. Friends of the family said Amanda was shaken by this turn of events. Her greatest fear was no longer the headlines or the public gossip. It was losing control of the story she had spent years shaping. From the start of Our Yorkshire Farm, Amanda had positioned herself as the guiding figure, not just in her children's lives but in the family brand. Every magazine article, every staged photo, every rustic story told online had been filtered through her perspective. To the public, she appeared as a wise, nurturing figure holding a hard life together. But insiders claimed she also controlled how her children were seen, especially Reuben. Moments when he pushed back or showed frustration were often edited out because Amanda wanted him to appear as capable, but still needing her guidance. But Reuben wasn't that boy anymore. At 20, he was no longer the teenager fumbling with machinery on camera. He had his own career, his own circle of friends, and now, after the on-air confrontation, his own voice. For Amanda, this wasn't just about family tension. It was about losing the narrative she had always controlled. She reportedly expressed concern to Channel 5 that the family's story could spiral out of her hands, even asking, "How do we stop this from becoming tabloid bait?" But by then, it already had. The timing was especially difficult for Amanda, who had been moving into solo projects since separating from Clive. She had written books, given talks, and appeared on lifestyle programs, slowly shifting her public image from mother of 9 to independent countryside figure. Yet much of her appeal still relied on the nostalgic picture of family life. Without Reuben, production teams reportedly worried that her new projects would feel empty. One creative director admitted that his presence had given the show generational depth, and without him, the narrative felt hollow. At the same time, Reuben's independence was attracting attention. Production companies began approaching him directly with offers, from farm-based competitions to documentaries about young rural entrepreneurs. Importantly, many of these ideas didn't include Amanda at all. For someone who had always seen herself as the one shaping the family's story, this was a troubling change. Behind the professional concerns lay something even more personal. Reuben's public defiance forced Amanda to face the reality she rarely spoke about in interviews. Her children were growing up, and not all of them were thankful for the way their lives had been turned into entertainment. Some family acquaintances said her relationship with Reuben had been strained for years, especially during the heavy filming schedules of his teenage years. One former crew member even claimed Reuben had grown to hate the cameras, while Amanda continued to embrace them. Now that frustration had become public. Those close to Amanda said she was furious, but not just at her son. She was furious that she hadn't seen it coming, that she couldn't stop it. As she considers her next steps, she faces a difficult choice. Double down on the brand she built and hope the public eventually moves on, or accept that the story of the Owen family may no longer be hers to control. Clive Owen had always been the quieter half of the couple, the man in the background who preferred farming life over media attention. While Amanda became the face of the family, appearing on TV, writing books, and building a brand, Clive remained reserved and cautious about the spotlight. But after Reuben's explosive breakdown on live television, Clive reportedly began speaking more openly behind the scenes. His view was simple and blunt. This was always going to happen. Those who knew the family before fame often said Clive had been uneasy about cameras from the start. He worried about how constant filming would affect the children, especially Reuben, who was often caught on screen fixing machines, working in the fields, or struggling under pressure. Clive had noticed how uncomfortable his son became when even ordinary moments, like working on his car, were turned into television. He reportedly warned Amanda and the producers more than once that Reuben was under strain, but Amanda, caught up in the success of Our Yorkshire Farm, is said to have brushed it off. After Clive and Amanda split in 2022, their differences over family and fame only grew. Amanda leaned further into media projects, while Clive retreated into privacy, routine, and honest conversations with trusted friends. He described Reuben's collapse not as a sudden outburst but as the result of years of pressure. According to one acquaintance, Clive could see that his son's anger was more than teenage frustration. It was deeper, tied to feelings of being disrespected and trapped. Having admitted in the past to his own struggles with anger, Clive understood what Reuben was going through and wished he had stepped in sooner. Since the meltdown, Clive has offered support to his son, not to protect the family's public image but to look after Reuben's well-being. Their bond appears to be growing stronger. Reuben has been spotted more often at Clive's home, sometimes even sharing photos of the two of them together. This has sparked speculation that he is aligning himself more with his father than his mother. For Amanda and her team, this shift is worrying. Producers fear that if Clive and Reuben continue to show unity, it will only strengthen the public sympathy for them and make Amanda's efforts to regain control of the narrative much harder. Clive's warning is now impossible to ignore. He has told those close to him that you cannot raise children in front of a nation and expect them not to break under the pressure. For him, Reuben's breakdown was not rebellion but the natural result of years of tension between privacy and publicity, family and fame. Since the fallout, Reuben has stepped away from the spotlight. At just 20 years old, he is now at the center of a national debate. Was his outburst a breakdown, or was it a brave step toward freedom from a life he never chose? He has not made any formal statements, and neither have his parents or Channel 5. But quiet clues suggest he has left Ravenseat Farm and is living in a converted barn close to Clive. Neighbors describe him as keeping busy with machinery, odd jobs, and the kind of muddy work he has always loved. They say he is not running away but reclaiming normality. Online, public sympathy has only grown. Hashtags like #LetReubenBe and #FreeTheFarmKid have trended, with viewers expressing anger at how his life was turned into a brand. Many believe he was pushed too far, and his silence now feels like a deliberate boundary. While Amanda continues to post cheerful updates with her younger children, Reuben's absence is striking. Some outlets suggest there may even be a rift between mother and son. Former producers from Our Yorkshire Farm have quietly admitted that Reuben always had a complicated relationship with the cameras. He could be funny and natural, but when pressure built, he would shut down. Amanda, however, had bigger ambitions for the show and pushed the family to stay on screen. That tension never truly went away. Now, away from the cameras, Reuben seems to be shaping a different life. Rumors suggest he may open his own mechanics workshop, something he has hinted at in interviews before. His decision to step back could have serious consequences for Amanda's new projects. Channel 5 has already greenlit a spin-off show, but without Reuben, the dynamic will be very different. A source admitted that Amanda on her own may struggle to recreate the family magic. For Reuben, though, this may be exactly the point. He wants to be seen not as an asset to his mother's brand, but as his own person. Whatever happens next, one thing is clear. Reuben has walked away from the script that once defined him. Whether his future leads to quiet independence or something more public, this time it will be on his own terms.